Joining us right now to talk about the impact of the U.S.-China trade war on the global energy market, Marko Papic, macro-geopolitical chief strategist at BCA Research. Good morning to you. Let's talk about it. By the way, China now calling this whole thing a joke, given the prices have moved the way they have. But in your sector of the world, how is it going to impact things at this point?
Well, I think that commodities have responded to an increase in recession risk. And that makes sense. I mean, this is what happens all the time. Bond market is not responding the way that it usually would to recession, but commodities are. And I think that in a policy-induced recession, it's very dangerous to get overly bearish, whether on risk assets like equities or on commodities, because policies can be reversed. It's not like this is a great financial crisis. It is a policy-induced slowdown. And I think that the market, including for commodities, is going to look through further pain that may come through fundamental hard data if policymakers start talking about this as being just for lulls.
Just say that again, just for lulls? What do you mean by that?
Yeah, as the kids would say, right, Andrew? I mean, when China says this is now a joke, when President Trump's, official White House tweet says that we should all let him cook, literally that's what the White House tweeted, it suggests that we're not going to be at these tariff levels for very long. They're all just part of an elaborate, bargaining attempt. And so President Trump also did say last night, very genuinely, that he is looking forward to a deal and that there will be a deal with China. So I think the markets are going to slowly move away from the worst case scenario, which is that we're in some sort of a neo-McKinleyist world where tariffs are used to raise revenue to finance tax cuts. I mean, when was the last time any U.S. policymaker actually referred to them as revenue raisers?
So you think that the entire edifice of everything that we've heard from the administration over the past week about what they ultimately want to do, not just with China, but with tariffs across the board, the raising of revenue, the bringing manufacturing back to America, all the different component parts, you think none of that is going to happen? I
think some of it's going to happen, but we priced the worst of it, and the S&P 500 got to 4,800, and then you started seeing the bond market reaction as well, and the dollar's down. I mean, for example, against the euro, we're down 10% in a matter of months. That's very, very unusual. There's an exodus out of U.S. assets. And so, yes, the constraints have hit, and policymakers in the U.S., President Trump is trying to pivot towards a bargain.
How do you handicap the question of just paralysis, investment paralysis, at least in this moment? And maybe you look through it and say it's 1 quarter, 2 quarters, but we won't probably see it from this quarter's earnings report. And we just talked to Andy Jassy yesterday. He's not even seeing it in the consumer yet. But to the extent that we're not having, that companies are going to not necessarily be making huge investments anywhere, or at least sort of rethink what they're doing, does that concern you at all? Or should we, again, look through that?
We have to look through that. Let's go back to 2020. Last time we had effectively a policy-induced recession because it wasn't the virus that caused the recession. It was the response to it, right? It was the lockdowns. When did the market bottom in 2020? Was it when you and I didn't have to be locked down anymore? Was it when earnings bottomed? Was it when the vaccine?
Yeah.
Exactly. March 23rd, 2020. So it's very dangerous in a policy-induced recession to get overly driven by fundamentals and hard data, which, by the way, over the next couple of quarters is going to look pretty bad. I completely agree with you, Andrew. There's going to be a slowdown. CapEx is going to look pretty weak. Uncertainty. Right. CEOs are not going to know what to do.
If it's staring you in the face, it's already, if everybody's talking about it and staring you in your face, then it's already happened.